Jiggy Pop at midnight. He was sitting beside the sofa. Bottles were spread everywhere. He wasn't in his senses. The only thing he was murmuring, wine. Sorry, please, I will not do that again. Door opened and Jimin entered. He was shocked to see his friend's condition. Jimin, Jungkook, what did you do with yourself? Get up from the floor. Jiggy, I want her back. Please bring her back, he said with a slow voice. Jimin, get up first. He sat beside him and took bottle from his hand. Jiggy, she's not talking to me. I'm sorry, he said with his head hung low. Jimin sighed. Jimin, she needs space, Jungkook. You did wrong to her. Jiggy, I know, he said in a little loud. I know I did wrong to her and it can't be justified at any cost, he said with his low voice, showing how much guilty he is. She is working with Wang. She's not even listening to me. Jimin, Wang? He got surprised. We'll see everything later. I'll go talk to her. Now come on, get up and go get fresh. You're looking like a monster. He got up from the floor and went in his bedroom without saying anything. If things were right, he would have kicked Jimin on saying him monster. Jimin sighed, looking at his back. He left from there. He knew they both need some space. Jungkook laid on the bed on his stomach. JK, I need to give you some space, Wine. I'm sorry. And his eyes closed. The next day went off. She was getting ready for the dinner. She couldn't miss this chance to prove herself. Her mobile phone rang. She picked up the call. Mr. Wang, Wine, we're outside. Come out. Wine, okay, I'm coming in a second. She took her purse and said goodbye to Grandma. Miss Ella, where are you going, Wine? Actually, I wanted to talk to you about Jungkook. Wine, I don't want to talk about him. How many is just a business dinner with Mr. Wang. How many? I'll be back by 10. Bye. She went out. But when she went outside, she didn't see Jungkook. She was expecting Jungkook would be here like always, but he was nowhere today. She took out. That was it. He lost and I won, she said inside the car, and they went to the dinner. Mr. Wang, Wine, this is your first time going on a dinner. So don't try to mess with our partner. He's one of the famous businessmen in the world. Be careful. One, yes, sir. She was confident. Mr. Wang looked at her with his sharp eyes. They reached the location. It was in the middle of maybe forest. Wang felt something strange. Mr. Wang, let's go inside. He got out from the car and I followed him. The inside of the building was dark. It was a nightclub maybe. There was dance floor. People were dancing there. Some of them were drunk. I ignored that and looked where we are going. The room we entered is a VIP area maybe. A man was sitting at the corner of the room. Mr. Wang sat in front of him. I was standing beside him. Mr. Wang, she's Wine, my new assistant. And Wine, this is Mr. Jason. Mr. Jason, have a seat, Wine. Wine felt uncomfortable because of his stares on her. She ignored him, but she could feel his stare on her. After some time, her boss gets up. Wine also followed him, but Jason caught her wrist. Jason, why in a hurry, little girl? He smirked. Wine, leave my hand before I break your hand, she struggled, taking out her hand from his grip. Wine looked at Mr. Wang, who was going out without bothering her. Wine, sir, Mr. Wang, she shouts while keep struggling with her hand, but when Mr. Wang left the door closed, Jason pulled her with one force towards him. Wine, hey, leave my hand, Wine shouted. She saw here and there struggling to come out of his grip. Jason, let's have a little fun, so stop trying. Nobody's going to listen to your voice. Wine, you idiot. She slapped him on his cheek, and in anger he pushed her to the floor. Wine had hit the floor. Sting of pain hit on the back of her forehead. Jason, how dare you? He got above her. He was trying to tear her clothes. Wine was still fighting and struggling. She was only murmuring, "Help, somebody help." Her mind started to get blurred. Before he could do something, he was pulled off from her and someone punched him on his jaw. Van's mind was hazy. She saw a face. Jungkook. She murmured and blacked out.
Flashback. Jimin went to meet YN. When he went her home, she wasn't at home. He asked Helmoni and she told him she went with her boss Mr. Wang. Jimin got worried. Jimin dialed Jungkook's number.
JK, yes. He said with his low voice. Jimin, Wine, Jungkook, she went him on a dinner. You know what he did with other girls? JK got up from the chair. Jungkook, what? You didn't talk to her? He said in a loud voice. Jimin, I was here to talk to her. Jungkook, be fast. We have to find her. JK ran outside of his house. I'll be there in a minute. We'll track her. Both were worried for one. JK, that's right. That's why I was telling her not to do this job. Why is she so stubborn? She doesn't even know what happens in this business field. He was driving furiously. They reached the location. Jungkook furiously got out of the car. He went inside. There was loud music. People were dancing. He looked here and there. He went to VIP area. There he heard one voice. Help me. He immediately ran inside. Jimin was behind him. Jimin was looking for Wang, who just ran from there. He saw someone who was hovering over her. He pulled him from her and pushed her to the ground angrily. JK, how dare you? How dare you touch her? He was punching him mercilessly one after one punch. Jimin went to Wine. Jimin, Wine, are you okay? He looked at Wine. Wine, Jungkook, she said and blacked out on the floor. Jungkook looked at her, who was lying on the floor unconsciously. Her and pat her cheeks. JK, Wine, open your eyes. Hey, Jimin, take her home. I'll deal with him. JK carried her in his arms and take her to his car. He drove his car to his house because Harmony will be stressed if she sees her like this. He was driving while she was as beside him, unconscious. She will be awake after some time. He already checked her wound. He looked at her again. JK, was this my mistake? He sighed. If I wouldn't have worried you, this wouldn't happened. I'm sorry. He forwarded his hand and slightly brushed his fingers in her hair. Everything happened because of me. I wish I can make everything right. He stopped his car at his mansion. He carried her to his room. He laid her on the bed. He saw her dress was torn from the shoulder. He tightened his fist and went from the room. He told the maid to change her clothes. At midnight, Jungkook came in her room to check her. When he entered the room, it was dark and he heard her noises. She was muttering something. Wine. No, please, no, stay away. Hey. She was shivering in the bed. Jungkook reached her and held her hand. Jungkook, you're safe, Wine, he said in her ear. Calm down, I'm with you. Wine. Jungkook, she said softly and holds his hand tightly. She went back to sleep. Jungkook wanted to leave her, but she was holding his hand tightly. He tried to take his hand back, but she didn't let him go. He sighed and laid beside her at a distance, with his hand holding. The next morning, Wine woke up with a headache. She had pain like someone had hit her head with a hammer. She opened her eyes slightly and saw her surroundings. She looked at her waist, which was tightly held by someone. She turned her head around and saw Jungkook closer to her. A yell came out from her throat and she distanced herself from him. She remembered what happened last night. Jungkook's eyes opened slightly. He looked at her who was looking at him. JK, are you alright? He said with his hoarse voice. Wine, yeah, she said in a low voice. Why did you bring me here? JK, I don't want Harmony to be worried, so Jimin told him you're staying at your friend's place. And there was no safest place except here, so I brought you here, he said, looking at her with his husky voice. Wine looked down. She looked at her clothes. It was changed. She immediately looked at him. Wine, you changed my clothes? JK, me did. First, tell me, what were you doing with Wang? He said, getting serious. Wine gulped. Wine, he told me it was a business dinner, so we have to go. JK, I told you that he's not good. But you're the same as Saban. What if we didn't reach on time last night? Wayne looked down. Wayne, it was all because of you. You fired me, she said loudly. He got up from the bed furiously. JK, yeah, I know it was all my mistake. Everything is my mistake, he said loudly. He looked at her who was looking down. He sighed and took a step closer to her. He cupped her face and said, JK, Wine, tell me, how should I correct this mistake? I'm really sorry. I know I lost you before I cherished you. I loved you for more than 3 years and there's no way you are coming back. But remember, I'm really sorry. Please forgive me. Wine was looking down. JK, come, I'll drop you home. Some days passed and everything was quiet. Wine spent her time with her grandma and Jungkook left for a business tour for a week. Jimin was busy with his business stuff. She got a call from Jimin. Hey Wine, today I'm throwing a party on my achievement. I want you there with me, by my side. Wine, but Jimin, no buts. I want you there, be ready at 8 p.m. Jungkook will pick you up. Wine, I can't manage. Jimin, no, you can't go alone there. It's far from your house. She didn't want to face Jungkook after everything that had happened. She thinks she will not go there. After some hours, Harmony, Wine, why you are not ready yet? She came to her room and found her laying on the bed. Wine, I don't want to go. Harmony, is this because of Jungkook? She didn't say anything and Miss Ella got to know about that. Harmony. One, you didn't ask me how I know Jungkook, she said, taking her attention. Out of curiosity, she asked, how? Harmony. You know, when I met an accident 2 years back, he was the one who saved me and take me to the hospital. He also called Jimin and you there. He was afraid for you, Wine. He knows you only have me in your life. He wanted to make sure you're living with the best life. He's the only one who gives your university fee. He didn't want us to tell you this. When you tell me you want to do job, even though he didn't need secretary, he wants you to be her secretary. Jimin also told me when he fired you, he didn't sleep for a second at that night because his heart was saying that you didn't betray him. He woke up all the night to search for the truth, and when he got to know he was guilty, he even said sorry to me. Wine was just listening to her and didn't say anything. Grano, okay, get up and get ready. Jimin wants you there with him. Now it's evening and she's ready. Jungkook was waiting outside in the car. She was quiet and didn't say anything and sat in front of the seat. He looked at her, shaky. After so long, how are you doing? Wine, everything's good. What about you? Shaky, I'm good too. She is looking breathtaking. His thinks in her mind. You look beautiful, he finally said to her. Wine, thank you. The whole ride was quiet. Wine wanted to talk to him, but she didn't know how to start the conversation. Maybe he moved on now, she thought in her mind. She was sad because how can she say many bad things to him? He was the one who helped her and her grandma in their life without letting her know anything. She couldn't face him because guilt consumed her. They reached their destination. Wine got out from the car first and went inside. He looked at her bag and sighed. He wanted to talk to her and tell her how much important she is for him, and he hadn't forgotten her for a bit. At the party, she met many people at the party. She congratulated Jimin on his success. Jimin introduced her to his friend group. It was going good until her eyes met with someone. He was looking at her directly in her eyes. Her heart started to beat abnormally. She was confused. He was coming toward her and she was still at that place shaking. Hey, can I have a talk with you? She nodded. Jiggy, you're looking very beautiful. Wine, thank you. You already told me. Jiggy, you deserve more compliments. Actually, I wanted to say something. Someone kept his hand on Wine's shoulder. Bacon, Wine, you? Wine, oh, Bacon, how are you doing? She hugged him while smiling. Bacon is her classmate and they both were shocked to see each other here. JK looked at him and thinking he might be her boyfriend. He left from there silently with pain in his heart. Maybe there's no chance now. She has her life. I thought when I will give her some space, she will give me a chance. He thought with his heavy heart. One noticed him how he left from there without saying anything more. She wanted to hear more from him. She don't know why. Wine, excuse me, Bacon, I have to go. Bye. She was searching him in the hall but couldn't find him until she heard the mic clearing voice. Attention please. Wine listened to the owner of the voice and looked at him. There was Jungkook holding his mic and looking at Wine. Check it, there is something important I'm going to say. I hurt it someone very badly and I don't know if I deserve forgiveness. I'm in love with her. But you know what I did? I hurt her the most. I lost her completely. I was fool to her, such a pure girl. I'm sorry, Wine. So don't hurt anyone before it's too late. There were tears scattered in Wine's eyes. Everyone felt sad for him. He left from there. Wine went outside to search him. It was all dark outside. She was searching for him. She saw her where he was standing near the pole. She ran toward him and hugged him from the behind. Wine, I forgive you. I know I am bleed. She had tears in her eyes. I'm sorry. I didn't want to shout at you. Please forgive me. Don't want to lose you, he said while turning around and looking at her while having tears in his eyes. She hugged him more tightly. Wine, I'm sorry too. I also said a lot of bad things to you. Take it. Stop crying. Wine, let's give us a chance, she said to him, and he smiled with tears in his eyes. He hugged her back tightly and pulled her more closer to him. Closer.